Most Canadians picture retirement as a time of freedom, more travel, more time with grandkids, more mornings where you wake up without an alarm clock. But here's the reality. A lot of people keep working well into their 60s, not because they need to, but because they're afraid of leaving a paycheck behind. Now here's the part that rarely gets talked about. After about age 58, the trade-off shifts. Every year you keep working, you're not just earning more money, you might be giving up something far more valuable. Years of health, energy, and freedom that you may never fully get back. I've seen it over and over. I've had many clients who have said, I'll just push through a few more years to add a bit more cushion. But those few more years often end up being the prime years when they could have been hiking through the Rockies, traveling overseas, or just spending full days with family while their health was still strong. That's why age 58 is such an important decision point. It's not just about the numbers in your RSP. It's about whether you're trading time for money you may never spend and missing out on the life you've been saving for all along. And that's exactly what we're going to unpack in today's video. Why working past 58 without clarity can quietly cost you more than it gives you, and how to know if you're ready to step away. Hi, I'm Stefano Francesca, Certified Financial Planner at Next Step Wealth Management with IPC Securities Corporation. If you find this helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps more Canadians see this. And if you're at or near this decision point yourself and want to know if you're truly ready to retire, you can book a time with me using the link in the description. Number one, the turning point after 58. When you're in your 30s, 40s, or even early 50s, working longer hours makes sense. You're focused on paying the mortgage, raising kids, building up your RSPs and TFSAs, maybe even starting to think about that dream cabin in the mountains or lake property. But once you're in your late 50s, the equation starts to look very different. Let's say you've been diligent with your savings, your mortgage is nearly paid off, and your retirement plan shows you're on track. At that point, every extra year of work doesn't just add money to your portfolio, it subtracts time from the healthiest years of your life. Think about it this way. If you keep working from 58 to 62 because you want to see your RSP balance grow, you may get the numbers higher on the screen. But what are you giving up in return? Those 4 years might have been the best window to take that trip to Europe you've always dreamed of, or to go on long hikes while your knees still let you, or to spend weeks with your grandkids while you have the energy to chase them around. I have a client in Southern Alberta who told me, Stefano, if I stop working now, it feels like I'm spending down my savings. And I understand where he was coming from. For decades, his focus was on growing his RSP. Watching the numbers climb gave him a sense of progress and security. But after we reviewed his retirement plan together, he realized something important. The whole point of savings wasn't to keep watching the balance grow. It was so he could eventually stop working and buy back his time. Once he reframed it that way, the decision became much clearer. That's the shift after 58. It's not about how much more you can add to your investments, pension, or CPP. It's about how much of your health, energy, and quality time you might lose if you wait too long. Now, if you don't have a plan or you don't know where you are with all of this, then many people just keep working, even if they don't need to. By age 58, we should be dialing in our plans and have a clear idea of what the next few years look like so that we don't overwork unless it's required. Number two, why money alone doesn't define retirement. Here's a mistake a lot of Canadians make. Thinking retirement is just about money. It's not. Retirement is really about balancing 4 key resources: time, money, health, and energy. When you're young, you've got lots of time and health, but not much money. So you trade those resources, time and energy, to build financial stability. That's natural. But as you move into your late 50s and early 60s, the balance changes. If you've done the work and you may already have enough money to support the lifestyle you want, then what's left to gain by working longer? At that point, you're not really improving your situation. You're just giving away more of your health and your time, 2 resources that are far scarcer and far more valuable than another few $1,000s in your RSP or TFSA. I see this especially with clients who've built good pensions, topped up their TFSAs, and are eligible for a healthy CPP and OAS. They've reached the point of adequacy, meaning the plan works on paper. But because they've been in save and accumulate mode for decades, it feels unnatural to start drawing it down. They focus only on the financial resource and forget that the other 3, time, health, and energy, are slipping away every year. Let me give you an example. At 58, you might be in good health, full of energy, able to golf, bike, or travel long distances without worry. At 68, some of those activities might be harder or even off the table. That's just the way it goes. Your time isn't just about how many years you live. It's about how many years you have lived well enough to fully enjoy the freedom you've worked to create. That's why I always tell clients, retirement isn't just about having time. It's about having quality time. And when you keep working long after your plan says you're ready, you're often trading away those prime years for a bigger account balance that you may never even use. Number 3, your retirement date shouldn't be set by the markets. One of many reasons Canadians hesitate to retire, even when the numbers say they can, is because of the headlines. You turn on the news and it's all about inflation running high, the Bank of Canada changing interest rates, or markets dipping again. And naturally you start to think, maybe I should wait until things settle down before I retire. But really? The economy is always shifting. Interest rates rise and fall, inflation flares up, then cools, markets go through corrections, then recover. If you're waiting for a perfectly calm financial environment before retiring, you'll be waiting forever. This is why your retirement decision should be based on your plan, not headline news. So firstly, you'll need a solid plan. Then that plan needs to be stress tested by multiple negative variables, such as sequence of returns risk, increased withdrawal risk, and higher inflation risk. Check out my last video on this topic in the link here. Then that plan should have multiple what-if scenarios to see how things like helping the kids out can impact the plan. At the end of all of that, if the plan still works for you, then you can feel confident to move ahead with retirement. Plans shouldn't be static, however. Your plan needs to be reviewed and repositioned regularly. When your plan is designed to adjust, you don't have to fear retiring into a bad market. So don't let the economy dictate your life. Market conditions will change, they always do. But your healthy years, once they're gone, they don't come back. Number 4, the biggest obstacle isn't money, it's mindset. Now let's talk about something that's often even harder to face than the financial side, the psychological side of retirement. For many Canadians, work isn't just about earning a paycheck, it's about identity. After 30 or 40 years of building a career or having a title, a routine, a sense of purpose, it's difficult to imagine what life looks like when you step away. I've had countless conversations with clients who admit they're not afraid of running out of money. What they're afraid of is running out of purpose. They wonder, what am I going to do with all that free time? Will I get bored? Will I lose my sense of value once I'm no longer working? There's only so much golf I can play. And these fears are completely valid. Retirement is a massive lifestyle shift. Here's the good news. You can plan for this side of retirement just as much as you plan for the financial side. I work with a couple in Red Deer who were both set financially. We had a solid RRSP balance, maxed out TFSAs, and a defined benefit pension. Yet the husband kept saying he wasn't ready to retire at 60. When we dug deeper, it turned out his hesitation had nothing to do with money. He was worried about losing his routine, and his wife was also worried for him because she thought it would be really hard for him to gear down, as she put it. He had been waking up at 6 a.m. every weekday for decades, and the thought of not having that structure made him uneasy. So we built a vision plan together, not just financially, but personally. He mapped out how his mornings would look, what projects he wanted to pursue, how often he'd golf with friends, and how he and his wife would schedule trips. Once he saw his retirement had structure and purpose, the fear started to fade. And here's something I've noticed. In all my years of advising, I've never once had someone tell me they regretted retiring too early. But I've had many say they should have started sooner. The psychological hurdle is real, but it's not insurmountable. With the right planning, both for your money and your lifestyle, you can replace fear with confidence. And that's what makes the transition at 58, 60, or whenever you're ready, feel not just financially possible, but emotionally right. Number 5, what to consider before you decide. If you're 55 to 60 and wondering whether you can step away, the first step is a comprehensive retirement plan. That means not just checking your RSP balance, but looking at where your income will come from your RSPs, TFSA, CPP, OAS, non-registered investments, or corporate assets. How to draw down tax efficiently to avoid unnecessary OAS clawbacks or higher marginal tax rates. Whether your lifestyle goals align with your current savings. And just as importantly, what your day-to-day life will look like once you're no longer working. Because here's the bottom line. Retirement isn't about who ends up with the biggest account balance. It's about who maximizes the years of health, energy, and freedom while they still can. So should you keep working past 58? Maybe, but only if the reasons are intentional, not out of fear, habit, or the hope of adding a slightly bigger cushion. For many Canadians, the cost of waiting isn't financial, it's the time you never get back. If you're a Canadian retiree or within 10 to 15 years of retirement and you want a personalized strategy, click the link in the description to book a consultation. Let's take the next step.